What's up, everybody? So here's a quick and cheap way to make a soil or compost sifter. So this is basically all you're going to need. One 2x4 by 8 foot piece of lumber, just a standard 2x4. Home Depot or Lowe's will cut it up for you for free. So I just did it in 2 foot sections to make it easy. And some 1/4 inch hardware cloth, some wire clippers, tape measure, a couple different types of screws. These are 2 inch, an inch and a quarter, and then a power screwdriver. That's basically all you're going to need. So you're just going to assemble these with the longer screws. I'll show you that real quick. There you go. I just used the 2-inch screws. You could probably use something a little longer since this is big pieces of 2x4, but it doesn't have to be super strong because it's not going to be exposed to any sort of really hardcore load bearing or anything like that. So I just have two 2-inch drywall screws at each intersection assembled like that. The actual inner part, dimension, size, whatever, for siftable areas like 21 by 24, but it can be whatever size you want. Once you get it screwed together like this, you want to measure the outside. This way you'll know how big to cut your hardware cloth with the wire clippers, or you can use shears or whatever you want to use. Or alternatively, you can just lay it across there and basically screw it or fasten it however you want, and then cut out around, which is probably what I'll do just to simplify it. So this is going to be the way I do it, just to simplify things. I know I'm not going to need the extra for anything. I just unrolled it and, I'm going to tack it on. Luckily, the screw heads are the perfect size to tack this down, so you don't have to have staples or anything else. And I'll just secure it and then trim off around the side. But I would urge you to be careful when you unroll this, because it's under a lot of tension. It's got sharp edges. Just be very careful. Have someone help you, wear gloves, whatever, but be very careful. So you'll want to unroll this across the top, get it as tight as you can, secure it with the screws or whatever you want, and then trim off the excess. I'll show you here in a second. And by the way, I forgot to mention, that's what the smaller screws are for. That's why I have two different lengths, 1 1/4 and 2-inch. Other lengths will work, of course. That's just what I had. So when you start screwing this in, don't over tighten. Just as soon as you see it start to get snug like that, that's good enough. So space the screws pretty close all the way across, just so you have a firm base to work from. It doesn't have to be super taut, but you don't want it walking all over the place. So, and then you'll just work your way down to the other end. So I've turned it around so I can get to this side easier. And the great thing about something like this is you almost can't mess it up. It doesn't have to be square. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be any certain size. It's pretty much going to work either way. So I'll start the video again once I get that excess right here trimmed off. Which, by the way, side note, probably something like what do you call it? Sheet metal shears or something that has can cut more at once would go faster, or just some really strong old-fashioned scissors that you don't mind if they get dulled up or whatever. It's just, this is kind of slow going. So it's just all I had. You can use something better if you have it. A hacksaw, heck, anything would work. So just leaving that as a side note. Okay, so I got the main portion off, which was by far the hardest thing of the whole project. So now I just have to go and trim off against the edge, the few inches all the way around the edge. And one thing I forgot to mention, make sure to sift. Of course, it would be the other way around. It would be upside down. Make sure to sift your soil or compost or whatever while it's dry, because if it's wet, it will not want to go through there. And like I said, this is 1/4 inch. So just a little side note. One thing you may want to do if you have kids around or animals or whatever is this sharp little edge that is left right here. You might want to run a bead of caulk across that and let it dry, and that'll just protect from getting poked. So another alternative you could do for dealing with this sharp edge is, once you're done, just take some furring strips or something that sticks out a little bit like this, and run it across there, tack it in with some nails or glue it on, whatever, and that will protect against that. Probably be the quickest way, because of course you have to wait for caulk to dry and everything, but that would protect anybody from, that's touching this from getting poked from this sharp edge. You just run a little piece of wood all the way across, tack it in, boom, you're done. A couple extra dollars, couple extra minutes, but it wouldn't be a big deal. Well, there you go, guys. That's what it looks like when it's done. As I said, you can put some caulk or a board on this side just to cover that sharp edge so you don't get poked. But that's pretty much it. That's what it looks like. So when you use it, you turn it over like this, and the 2x4s is what gives it some height to contain a decent amount of soil. That way the soil's not falling off everywhere, and it's contained, it's staying in one area. And that's why I did it this way with some extra height instead of using furring strips or something like that. Gives you plenty of room. It's like 2 feet by 2 feet. You could probably fit a good, I don't know, cubic foot of soil or something on there, but I would definitely not try to filter too much at once, or sift, I should say. You can put this over a barrel or box, a tote, whatever. Anything that'll catch it. You could do it on a table, suspended over something on a table that's got a big piece of plastic on it that you could gather up the soil, pull it up from the side and get it in a pile, whatever you want to do. But this contains plenty, or I should say it will contain plenty if you wanted it to. But here's my thing. Don't try to sift too much at once, because if you try to sift too much at once, it'll start building up, and then you're having to move it around and push it through and mess with it a lot. It just doesn't work very well. I would say like 1 or 2, maybe 3 shovelfuls, a regular shovel, like that type of shovel. Sift it, get rid of the stuff that's too big, and start again. And there you go. That's just a cheap, quick, easy way to make a soil sifter. I probably spent, like I said, I don't know if I said this in the video or not, this was a half price 2x4, so it was like $1.50 or $2, and this was on sale for I think $5, so I might have, I don't know, $7 or $8, whatever, invested. Whereas if you buy one of these, it's I think $30 or $40. So just a very simple, quick, cheap, easy, whatever way to make a soil sifter. And it makes a huge difference when you're trying to plant stuff, because every time a root hits a rock or a big piece of wood or whatever, it has to divert, it wastes energy, it works out much better for your plant's health if they have a nice fine potting soil or whatever type of soil you're sifting. If they're able to just go straight through, not impeded by any obstacles, then your plant's health will be way, way better. Overall, the performance, everything. Everybody I know that does professional gardening or gardening on a large scale, they always sift their stuff. So again, sift it dry if you can. And there you go. There's a quick little cheap, easy way to make a soil sifter, which is something you'll use if you get into gardening a lot. You'll end up using it all the time for all your stuff, whether it be raised bed soil, potting soil, soil you put in the garden that's amendments, whatever. It's just a great thing to have and great thing to make and keep around for any time you want to sift your stuff. And it's something that a few dollars and half an hour invested, whatever. I mean, it's something you will be glad you had in the future. So I hope this video has been useful. Hope I didn't babble on and take too long, and see you guys in the next one.